welcome from New Perspective Podcast. My name is Lovey New, hosted with my handsome husband,
Joshua New.
So we're going to tackle this very important topic that's on everybody's mind right now. To homeschool or to not homeschool is the question. So we all have this issue that's going on right now with digital learning versus homeschooling.
Yep.
And we've been dragged through the river as far as going with the coronavirus and making adjustments.
Yeah.
And absolutely, we have the best analogy of what's going on with homeschooling right now. We're building the plane as we're flying it. Is that not what's happening? If you're doing digital learning, wherever you are in the U.S., it's like you're building the plane while we're doing it. So with that being said, how do you feel about doing digital learning versus homeschool?
Well, I'll be honest, the digital learning is still like very new. That's the one thing about it. It's old school, not old school, but traditional classroom style teachers that are now trying to adopt and fit a square peg in a round hole and become online teachers overnight. Whereas these online programs and curriculums are built to be online first. And I feel like if they're going to have to be online anyway, why not kind of go with an online built, purpose-built system and platform versus trying to fit that square peg in a round hole like they're kind of doing today.
So last year overall, just for everybody who doesn't know out there, we are husband and wife. So and we really haven't had this conversation other than right now in this moment. So you're going to get some real answers. And one of my major ones is, how do you think we adapted to digital learning? And can we adapt the same way, if not better, this year?
Yeah, I mean, we adapted the best we could. The teachers adapted the best they could. It wasn't easy. The kids adapted the best they could.
Yeah,
there's a lot to weigh in there with the kids. And, no, it's not the same. I think it went okay last year. It was a lot of changes, though. It seemed like every day or every week we're doing something different. It was not the same pattern that we did last time, and that's part of growing and getting better, but it was frustrating and difficult for the parents and the students to never get on a kind of solid way. So I think we did well last year with the digital learning. What it's going to be this year, no one knows. They're changing the format from what we understand, but again, it changes daily still, even after the whole summer.
Right.
And that gives me a lot of concern. It's just the instability of where it's going with the direction.
So I completely 100% agree with you. So with that being said, everything's new. We're not really sure how it's going to be. Now, we've talked to some of, at least in our county, every county's different, so I'm not trying to put any scares out there, but right now it's looking that they're going to be in class from about 8 o'clock in the morning until 3 consistently. And my only problem with being on the computer that long is I have, just like I have a 7, an 8, and a 13-year-old. My 13-year-old is autopilot. She'll be fine, but the little ones, they need instructions. I mean, what if it just freezes on them? That shuts down their whole world. I even had my poor kids come crying to me last year when things didn't work. It was frustrating for everybody. So is that something you think is worth the battle to keep doing, or is it wiser to transition to a real homeschool program that's digital, that's all virtual?
Well, the one thing is like the accreditation and that whole piece of it, that part is kind of just being a new parent in this arena. It kind of scares me a little bit, not knowing what, for their college and kind of after school.
Right.
But I'll say that I think for the most part, I think I prefer the online. I think I'm still figuring that out as well, but I don't think I like the 8 to 3 that they're trying to mimic in-class instruction when that's not what they're doing, and it's, they don't have someone watching them all day long. It's just different. So I think, personally, I think the online homeschooling is a better option. But again, I think it's all preference of each person.
So I want to tell everybody, one of the biggest things I want to do about this podcast is encourage. Excuse me. Encourage every parent to get out there and dive in, whether it's digital or whether it is homeschooling program. Just dive in. There is no right or wrong way. No one's going to come down from the heavens and tell you didn't teach your kid enough. Because honestly, be honest, we all went to school. There's 20 kids in the class. Not everyone's going to be an astronaut. I'm sorry. So regardless if they're homeschooled or not, have that confidence that you know enough and you are smart enough that you can teach your kids the same fruits and values that you have and you will be surprised how much information actually comes back in your head when you're doing it. The one thing, what do we love the most? Last year, our daughter was in 7th grade, so she would have math issues that they weren't explaining digitally, and we would sit there and it was a game to us.
Yeah, it was good because we actually got the opportunity to kind of get the lesson again and get a refresher, and but we didn't know how to do it. We had the background, so we were able to kind of help lend that helping hand to our daughter. And so it's kind of refreshing just to even kind of reinvigorate your own mind and those creative juices. So I think it's been really good in that perspective as well.
So what were some of the resources we use that I would recommend people to use as guides for them? Because we don't know everything. Yes, I have a master's. We both do. We both have masters. So my point is regardless of being educated, we still don't know every single thing that they're going through. And what resources did we use to help our kids last year?
Well, so first of all, we've got the homeschool education Nazi lady over here.
I know. Look, I wear my shirt proudly too. So seriously, there's going to be more to come.
So, you really would be the best person to speak about that because you brought a lot of resources outside of what school was bringing to the table. But, what we recently kind of delved into is, things outside of just what the teachers are bringing to the table.
Right.
So one thing is, going back to fitness is one thing, right? And so, I have a great instructor over here, a yoga instructor. So what do? We take our kids, and I say we, the yoga instructor / teacher / cook / cafeteria lady.
And you can see my shirt.
It says coach, right?
It does say coach. It should say yoga coach or life coach, one of them. But yes, all these titles are mine, and all you moms out there, this is going to be your title too. So own it proudly. I have a little reward for you at the end for doing all this hard work, plus being a wife. So I haven't forgotten that job too.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Just a little caveat I want to let you know, I am a yoga instructor. I teach online. I do a lot of virtual stuff. I coach Mommy and Me yoga, and this is a very invigorating class for the moms and the kids to take a break during the day. That's something I'm offering on my website via Zoom, so please message me, all that, and we can get that out there. But most importantly, incorporate physical fitness into homeschooling or digital learning remote, because I'm a nurse practitioner. I have been preaching this, and I will continue to preach this. You have to stay moving during the coronavirus right now.
Yeah.
It is increasing with our kids. So if we're not safe enough to send our kids to school, then make sure you're doing everything you can at home to keep them healthy. And being active, getting outside, getting in nature is going to help you. So I recommend it. Definitely your vitamins and supplements, do all those things. And just another caveat, as a nurse practitioner, on my YouTube page, you can find the vitamins or supplements. I specifically recommend it for this coronavirus. And so far, so good. Our family's doing well. So that's just a little caveat on that. But anyway, move on.
Yeah.
I wanted to also talk about homeschooling is successful when both parents are on the same page. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, if you're not, it is one thing if just the wife is maybe handling it.
Right.
But honestly, even the husband, I work, most of the time from home while she's doing most of the work with the kids during the day. But, I don't just completely, fluff it off and not try. So I have to also be aware, I have to be on the same page, I have to understand what the curriculum is, help navigate when the kids have a problem, when they have a question, I should be able to help answer those questions. So, and then just what the strategy is, making sure that it'd be a problem if you really want to do digital learning and I really want to do online, homeschooling, and we couldn't come to an agreement. So you're going to have to understand the pros and cons as a husband and wife couple, and then come together to understand what's the best one for you.
And we definitely, we have our moments where we may disagree or we think it's more that, but Josh does really respect my ideas on education and stuff. I'm going to show you some of my tools or my tricks over here that I've been doing for years, and it's been very successful. All my daughters are straight A students and focused and gifted and stuff like that. So I'm not tooting my own horn. It's just that during the summers, I've always been doing a mini homeschool thing. I prepare them for the next grade. So there's a lot of things I have in my toolbox that I want to share with people.
Yeah.
I wanted to get some things out there as far as the list of different programs they have. Mm-hmm. What are some of them that we looked at for specifically homeschooling?
Yeah, so we looked at quite a few. Research. We're still doing research, to be honest with you. So if we say something wrong or incorrect, we're still learning ourselves, but we're just here to learn with you and help pass on what we do know.
Yeah.
And so we looked at the Acellus
yes.
program, which looks to be a very robust, accredited program, quite expensive.
What's the pricing?
So that one's $250 a month, or about $2,400 a year, depending on how you pay for it, right? So that one's a little more like a private school level, but it is accredited, and that whole.
So what's the big deal of accredited?
So the accreditation just comes into play when you're looking at going to college and applying for scholarships, and you're trying to get into the military or things like that. It doesn't say you're any less educated if it's not accredited. It's the same material, but it comes back to what is recognized by the different governing bodies and things like that.
Right.
So and then there's Power Homeschooling.
Power Home. And
that one actually uses the Acellus content and platform to deliver the same instruction, but for $25 a month instead of $250. So this is something we've kind of recently figured out and are probably going to move towards as well. And then the one we've also looked at K-12, which K-12 we thought it was more of a online education, or at least seems more like a search engine for online homeschooling programs in your area. And then we looked at I think it was a couple more. Khan Academy, which is a free program. Obviously, everyone likes free. A lot of good content there. My 2 cents on that was they were using that as just add-on kind of at her school during the year in digital learning. They had been using Khan Academy anyway as an addition to their curriculum. So I didn't feel like that really gave enough meat to be a full curriculum. But the one we currently decided on was Time for Learning, which is not a bad program. We've been demoing it, or they've got most of these have a test period, trial period, where you can test it out and see how it works.
So we have a month free trial right now. We started a week ago. So right now we're on week 2 of trying Time for Learn for my 7, 8, and my 13-year-old right now. So we're just trying to get a feel whether it really resonates with us, to be honest, and if it's efficient. So far, I just want to tell you my opinion of it. My goal for homeschooling, and everybody can set their schedule different, but I want it to be done by 1. So when we were doing digital learning last year, we were done by 1 for the most part, unless there was a meetup group. So that's how I'm structuring my homeschool program, is to be done by 1 so that we can have lunch, move on with our life, do science experience, go to the library, all those kind of things, right? So right now, my 2 youngest are completing everything before lunchtime, which is great. It gives us a lot of free time, flexibility, and then I can solidify extra things, which, trust me, I'm going to show you some of the extra things my poor kids have to do. So that's what, so far, we've realized. Now, I'm not so sure that it's the one for my oldest. Yeah, so we're still on the fence, but for the 2 youngest, I think it's appropriate.
Yeah.
It's a lot of animation. There is a lot of tests in there. We can set the schedule to whatever you want. You can set the whole school year, and they'll adjust the assignments. I feel like the system is user-friendly. However, I think it's not as developed as some programs that we were just clicking on before we started this thing. We actually found a couple more homeschools, and we're kind of backpedaling. So I recommend that everybody mess with a couple different programs. If you do get the free trial, take advantage of it, because with Time for Learning, and I want to put that out there, they had an additional program for math. So my 2 younger girls are taking additional, like, kind of hard elective math, and then my oldest is taking Spanish. So and it's Rosetta Stone Spanish. So let me add that part in, that they did do some really nice features. Customer service, very friendly. So I want to give positives before my next viewing of this, where I may say something completely different. So
yeah, and just on that, it's $20 a month for the first kid and $15 a month after that, just so you have an idea of what it costs as well. So, and I want to ask you real quick. You talked about schedules, and you are very good with schedules, and it's very important to you. Can you kind of talk through that and how that can help other people out there?
I want to enforce this big as day. Schedules, 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 schedules. I am a Nazi for schedules, and I'll tell you a little trick that I've learned with my kids. So y'all can't see this, but literally this is the schedule that we do as far as activities, what we eat, where we're going, all that kind of stuff, so that during the middle of the day, I'm not scrambling my brain to figure something out to fill the day up with stuff. This is how I trick my kids, I get them to make their own schedule. After school is done, I have them make their own schedule and see, and let them be empowered to feel like they have some control over things. So that's something I encourage as well. I also encourage like an activity and productivity schedule as well, because I think it's important to know where you're going without building the plane while you're flying, right? So you can always readjust the schedule. So this week, let me just give you a little thing. Last week, when I made my daughter's schedule in Time for Learn, I made it where she was only doing like an average of 6 items a day. This week, I switched it to subjects. So only like Monday, Wednesday, she's doing math and language arts. Tuesday, Thursday, she may be doing Hispanic or Spanish or history. So I kind of switched it up and made it like a college schedule, a block schedule versus the other one, and I'm going to let her choose on which one she likes better. To me, it doesn't matter because she still just has to complete the goal within that week. The other thing about schedules, one part I want to say, schedules are good, but for the perfectionist woman, I'm talking to myself to be honest, one, take a Klonopin, two,
so silly. Can you take this girl nowhere?
Okay, but seriously, on a real note, for the perfectionist moms, if you really are getting so wrapped around the axle about a schedule, ball it up and throw it away. There is, like, I'm going to say this again, there's no wrong way to do this. And we have so many resources out there right now, it's almost inconceivable to be unsuccessful, to be honest. So that's one of my things about schedules. I recommend them. Print out a block like this, have your kids fill in their own ideas, and then sit down together and come to a meeting to kind of thin things out. I also wanted to show you, this was a printout from Time for Learn, and pretty much it's a schedule that my kids would get, so they'll know for the whole week what they have to do. Now, if they want to go ahead, they're more than welcome to, so that's an option. And the beauty of homeschool, because at school, you couldn't get ahead. You couldn't move on if the entire class didn't know the subject. So that's a positive to this, as well as I want to reinforce that in homeschooling, you're able to find your kids' strengths. So if they're really good in science, then you can build a whole curriculum around that.
Science,
We also, what are we doing with our kids?
Oh, this is what we do. I think just yesterday we went and took them out for science. We went and took them out to the creek.
We did.
You know, so we go out and we look at the different rock formations and what type of stone do you think this might be? How did just science things that are obviously all within outdoors.
Right.
And we got to do that in kind of an unstructured, informal way, and it worked really well. Like so, there's lots of opportunities to teach life skills. Like another thing that I'm very big on. I'm in IT, so I really push my kids to learn how to type. Everyone's going to need to know that. So they also
including me. I type with them too, so I'm relearning things.
So we push typing class as an additional resource. We do. I do have them take coding courses and things like that. They're online and free. All this stuff is free. So, and if you reach out, we can give you the links to some of these resources as well. And so we find things like that to try to, and just baking cookies in the kitchen or making a dinner together gives us an opportunity to talk about little science things. So we have a lot of different ways. When you mentioned the flexibility, there's a lot of flexibility within homeschool versus, we actually just got a call from our teacher for our kids today about starting school next week, and there's no flexibility. It's, these are the times you got to be online, you have to be here, I don't care what your work schedule is, those kinds of things. And so it's not as flexible where homeschool is. Even if you have, hey, it's been a rough day or a rough week, you can kind of maneuver things and move them around. So I want to ask you, it's not our situation, thankfully, we're blessed in this situation, but what advice do you give parents out there who have to maybe work, or single parents who have to work and they're not allowed to be at home 8 to 3 with their kid, and how they can kind of use homeschool to bridge that gap?
So this is a question, and I forgot my Facebook friend that I wanted to direct this to, and I wanted to make a big point. The beauty of homeschooling versus digital learning or remote learning with the school system, you have 7 days as well as 365 days to change your schedule. You're not locked into having to learn something in 8 months. You can extend it to 12 months. You can even skip over sections that you think aren't pertinent. But the most important thing I want to get across to people is, even if you work at night, because that's the issue. We have a lot of moms standing on the a crossroad of, do I go back to work? And if I do go back to work, how do I educate my child if they have to be home?
Correct.
I want to say, breathe. That's number one. Two, you can only do so much. And it's okay to homeschool your child at nighttime. I've had many parents reach out to me in my groups and say, I homeschool my child at night because I worked all day, and then we would do things into the weekend. And that's all you have to do. Honestly, and I'm pointing out that if my kids get up at 9, we work out for an hour, we sit down at 10 and start, lunch is for 12:30, they only have 2.5 hours to really get work done. So if that's being said, possibly, and this is just an idea, before dinner or after dinner, go ahead and let your kid know, we're going to stay up late until 11, and your bedtime's at 12, he sleeps later. You're just adjusting the schedule to help facilitate learning in your home your way. And guess what? It's not wrong. Some kids may learn better in the afternoon. My oldest, she is not a morning person at all.
Yeah.
If I could start school at 2, it'd be a lot better for her. So don't be so hard that it's not so in the box. Think outside the box. As long as they're getting information, that's all that matters. Also, don't be afraid to turn your weekends, because like I said, it really is like a 2-hour block. You could probably do 2 days in 1 day on a weekend.
Correct.
It may not be comfortable or fun, but it's an option as well. The other thing is co-ops. There's a lot of co-ops out there. So please get into Facebook groups, Crossing Over to Homeschool, Atlanta, Georgia, Homeschool. I mean, there is a plethora. You cannot go wrong. And the one thing I want to encourage and let everybody know is there are co-ops where other parents are getting together and they would have somebody else kind of jump in and assist on certain subjects. So like if your Sally's mom is not good in math, then have her do math and you do reading, and y'all rotate. However, I just want to remember to encourage, the whole COVID. So don't create another situation that's not going to put us in the future. As long as you're trusting this person and you feel like it's beneficial for your child, co-ops are the way. There's hybrid programs and all those kind of things, and there's so many resources. And one thing I wanted to hit on before we kind of switch off at the time, what mental concerns do you have with homeschooling your child, and what are they really missing? What are the benefits too? So the pros and cons of homeschooling, because this is my followers and readers have been going nuts about this topic specifically.
Well, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to this, but from my perspective, and everyone's got a different perspective, that's why it's a New Perspectives podcast, right? But from my personal perspective, the way I look at it is, I don't really think they're missing much of anything.
I don't either.
Truthfully, the social interaction they were having really was taking away from their education opportunities, and it wasn't helping that. And I'm just going to be honest. I mean, I work from home. I don't work and see people on the regular anyway, and I know that humans need that. Right. But at the same time, they only know what they know. So if that's their norm, then they're not going to feel like they're missing out on anything. That's been their norm. That's what they know. And at the end of the day, what would they rather have? I'm not saying there won't be some maybe mental challenges or emotional challenges with this that come out of it, and social challenges with people. I think we've been on that path for a long time due to technology.
Absolutely, we've already been on that train.
Yeah, and this is going to continue that to some degree. Don't get me wrong, but considering the alternatives in the situation we're in, I feel like it's better than putting your health at risk. Your physical health at risk. And so I think that there's still opportunity. If you have siblings, but this is an opportunity for you to get
I agree.
Engaged with your children, and not, I'm not saying you pawn them off on other kids to go have fun and learn about life, but now you get to kind of be that. The other just aspect real quick is, think about all the wrong things your kids learn about life and about, all those things from their friends who know nothing, right? Now you get to kind of be that one, person or that one voice that gets to help them understand things. And they still can text, they can still FaceTime, they can still Zoom and meet up with their friends. So I personally don't feel like they're really missing out on much, but that's my perspective.
Correct, and I agree with you. I think nothing that they're missing in their childhood can't be reversed. It's only 18 years of their life. You live way much longer in the real world, and you can't prepare for all of that either.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. Benefits, I agree with you. It's bonding with your children, bonding with siblings. I actually see it as a plus. My daughter actually talks to me a lot more than she did.
Yeah.
It's actually the one thing that I've gotten out of it is I've gotten to pull her personality out.
Yeah.
I've gotten to show her a lot more of my personality too. I'm not just mom. I'm teacher, principal, nurse. Literally, I am a nurse practitioner. I like everything. So, like, I am everything to them right now, and so I am her friend. But she does communicate with her friends. She does have a cell phone. We let her text. She hasn't seen her friends, but we go out a lot. We do a lot of family outings. So that's the only thing I say is if you're going to homeschool, at least bring your kids out a little bit. I know time is running up, but I want to show you some of my study tools that I use for my kids, and I highly recommend. I use Sullivan. This is one of the study cards. It's a spelling flashcards. I use vocabulary by them. I've used them for years. My kids are all using them. My oldest just finished doing a deck of Greek and Latin PSAT vocabulary word cards. I absolutely recommend that people get those. And one of the tools I've been using for years, and this is just a stack of them. This is why I'm a Nazi. This is what I've been doing before this even started. So I was already, it was in my veins. I was ready for it. Spectrum is one of my favorite. I love it. They're usually pretty much on point with every single year, and they have extra material with the answers in the back. So my kids, like I was saying, they have their digital learning or their homeschool, and then they get packets of these in addition. So, but that's just something I do to try to make sure that they're advancing and always ahead. So that's the one thing I encourage everybody to do. Most importantly is you got this. So I'm going to wrap this up. We're definitely going to do this again because I feel like
before you wrap up, I just want to mention one thing, and it's even a reminder to you and to everyone out there. Remember, you need a break.
Yes.
You know, go
Absolutely.
Take a break for yourself, away from these kids, away from the digital learning, away from all of it. Don't be afraid. Yes.
Don't be afraid. Don't stop the drama. Save your mama. Give her this. It's okay. I don't want you hiding in the closet drinking. I don't want any of that. But if you need a break, it's
take a break.
Okay. Yeah. Those little rugrats will be fine. Trust me. Think about when your baby used to cry. You let that baby cry, huh? Exactly. So anyway, yes, you need a break. You have to breathe. And that's some of the things that I will tell you we went through for Power Home. That's one of the things. Some quick notes that they had for parents, and I just want to read off. Help your kid create a schedule. Take short breaks between study sessions. Make sure you teach your child how to take good notes. Encourage your students to get involved in activities, even if it's just home activities, like start running club, start a chess club, any of those things. I also encourage volunteering. I know right now we can't do it, but I highly recommend. I like to go to Georgia Mountain Food Bank and bring my kids. They love it. And it's so good. That's the socialization I think kids should have.
I agree.
Giving back in some way. And I've even started to encourage my oldest to be a tutor for like a first grader and do it digitally. Because there are parents. So think outside the box on this, parents. You got this. So with that being said, I want to wrap up just a little bit. Please email me your questions. I will answer them. Message me. But recap. Throw away self-doubt. Stop doubting yourselves. You absolutely can do this. It can be done. You are smart enough. We have the resources. It's called Google. Google. Facebook groups, other parents, myself. If I don't know the answer, I'll find somebody who has it for you. Reach out. Partner with people. That's my number 2 thing. Partner with someone. Another classmate, a neighbor, a friend. Encourage your partners, your spouses, your kids. You're going to get through this. It's okay. It's a learning curve. We're all doing it. So that's one of my other things. Be flexible. If you're a perfectionist, throw it out. You've got to be okay with not completing all assignments. If the kids don't get it done today, there's always tomorrow. And you're in control of their grades. If you're doing homeschool, for my kids, they have to make 85s and above on every single thing they do. But that doesn't have to be your standard. You can make it 75. whatever you want. It's your world.
And there will be bad days and there will be meltdowns, but it's okay. There's another day tomorrow and the sun comes up again and you will be okay the next day. So
make homeschooling fun, but don't overdo it. I'm guilty of that. I will do like 90 things in one day, and then the next day I'm like, what are we supposed to do? Spread it out.
yeah.
Schedule. I like schedules, but if that doesn't work for you, get your kids involved, help them guide their schedule as well. We also incorporate like home cooking, like you said, life skills. So do stuff like that. When you're just bored, you just look at each other like, let's cook something. You use math and cooking for ingredients and measuring stuff. It's great for the little kids and even my oldest. Join Facebook group, podcasts, teachers, any of those things that will help you for resources and information. Don't stop asking questions. I'm on a lot of homeschool groups, and we'll get the same question. Who cares? Keep asking that question because someone else may have that same question, right?
And we can have a different answer to it. Remember, the only stupid question is the one you don't ask.
Absolutely. So remember all the stuff that you went to school with, and then or learned in school. And then last and not least, stay active, stay moving. Join if you care, you like yoga. Join Mommy and Me or Mom and Me. I do a teen version plus a kid version, meaning like under 10. Or just stay active. Get outside with your kid. Go for a walk. We'll take our kids for a walk at least because they need vitamin D. Vitamin D is important. It's part of your health, so make sure you take them outside and get that. And then, like I said, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm trying to read a question really quick on here.
And while she's doing that, just like as, you know, again, it doesn't have to be all just Monday through Friday. Like I teach the girls martial arts on the weekends, and that counts again towards their kind of PE and their physical activities. And so, you know, you can kind of spread those things out. And they're things I would have done with them anyway, but now they can kind of count towards their school curriculum as well. So, you know, there's lots of ways. You got to, like she said, think outside the box, be creative. Be on the same page, use your skill sets. You know, she's very good with studying and having good study habits.
Yeah.
Mine are terrible, but I'm good in IT, so I can kind of help them navigate the computer and the UI and these different things. And so use your strengths as well as a couple to kind of, you know, balance each other out.
Absolutely. You said it perfectly. I completely agree. Alyssa, I see your question. It's kind of like gone out, but I mean, I'm going to answer it after. If you can shoot it to me in a direct message. That'd be appreciated. I'm so sorry because I'm looking at a different screen down here and it won't let me see the rest of the message. But stay in contact with me. Please message me if there's anything I can do or any resources I can give more, I will. I want to do a recap in a few weeks because I know a lot of people couldn't make it tonight. And one last thing, I will be doing a Zoom meetup with a multitude of moms, dads that are already homeschooling or are interested in homeschooling. And that one will be this Saturday at 2. But I will have another group in a few weeks to do the same thing. My goal is to get the parents involved together and start helping each other, start building a true community of partnership with your neighbors and with humans. We need it. We need it so desperately. So definitely, if you can join any of those things or you want to get an invite, message me and bring your questions. Fire them at me.
We're all learning together.
We are. And there will be a lot of parents on there that are already experienced. So you can get some other answers from other people too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you. Amazing job for hosting this and being my co-host. So I appreciate it. Thank each and every one of you out there for joining New Perspectives podcast.
Absolutely.
And thanks for listening to our New Perspectives. Inspire hope and ignite the love for life. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks.